Hey guys, Brian here. Welcome to Soul Speak Visions. Today I am not doing a juggling video. I simply wanted to show off these beautiful neon green juggling balls. They're professional grade. They're legitimate and they're awesome, and I don't know why I waited so long to get these. I've wanted them for a while. But no, the point of the video is not juggling. More of a serious topic today. I wanted to sort of speak on my own experience with anxiety and its prescribed limitations, and it's the way that anxiety unfolded in my own life in the form of many, sleepless nights and heartaches and, periods of decline. Anxiety's a tough cookie, Anxiety's not your best friend. Nobody wants to be defined by anxiety. Anxiety is something that people don't really want to talk about, and a lot of people that either they don't have anxiety or they write it off as just, being too in your mind or whatever. A lot of people just aren't really tolerant or understanding of anxiety. They just kind of they tell you to like shake it off or whatever. And I'm not saying that like that makes those people like bad people. It's just maybe they don't understand, how debilitating it is to just have anxiety and, to feel like you're dying sometimes, or just, have this inexplicable feeling of like terror and like, frightening emotions, for no apparent reason. I have trouble now. Currently I have trouble, some days leaving the house, I just don't really think about it, I enjoy being alone, but, at times I feel like I restrict to myself. I do things like run races that, that helps me and being active. But, anxiety can sort of contort your understanding of your own limitations, which, as you know, you can do anything, and, the limitations are only self-imposed, and that's exactly kind of anxiety kind of writes the script for your own self-imposed limitations, if you so allow it to, and it's difficult. And I'm not an expert on dealing with anxiety, but I know a lot about anxiety just from dealing with it, for years. My first recognizable point of anxiety where it clicked, hey, I might have anxiety, that was about 5 years ago. My first real panic attack, anxiety attack, brought on by being in just a kind of a bad situation, a living arrangement, and using recreational drugs at the time, as well as just naturally being kind of a nervous person. I've always kind of been a little nervous, been a little afraid to really to speak. I was very shy. I had stomach problems growing up. I was just a sensitive person, and I still am. And that's not something to like look down on, but it doesn't always go over too well in like a school setting or a work setting. It sucks. There's a lot of like intolerance when it comes to like people that have anxiety, and it really kind of annoys me. It doesn't make you weaker. In fact, I think it actually makes you stronger, even if in the moment you don't feel strong, because nobody feels strong when they're in the midst of an anxiety attack. And if you don't know what an anxiety attack is, kind of you feel like you're dying. It's horrible. It's just a crushing, terrible feeling that of impending doom, or that something is just wrong. And it's, for me, my problem is the lack of control. And it's kind of silly because in a lot of ways in life there is no control, but anxiety to me comes when I feel off balance, or I feel like I don't have control over the situation, or I just I feel out of lane. I feel like I'm not centered with my environment or the energies there. And that very well may be true, I mean, I believe there's a spiritual sort of undercurrent going on in the midst of anxiety, and I've spoken about that, in regard to the years that I felt like I lost my soul. A lot of that anxiety was a very prevalent thing during those years. And guys, anxiety is so common, but rarely really spoken of, in terms that everyone can understand. It's not simply thinking too much or getting too overwhelmed, or it's not this arbitrary, rigid thing that you can put your finger on. No, to me, anxiety is one of the most complex things out there, and you can't really put your finger on it. And anxiety comes in all different forms. There's social anxiety, there's anxiety about certain activities, certain places and situations, and sometimes you have anxiety for no reason whatsoever. You can be sitting in your room, much like I was the other day, playing video games or whatever, or listening to music, and for whatever reason you have anxiety. And those are the worst. I mean, it's like, it shakes, it shakes you. It's really kind of it's like it puts you in this alternate reality that you don't want to be in, that you constantly feel like you have to fend for yourself and return back to normalcy, and it's not fun. A lot of I've felt like I literally have felt before like I was having a heart attack or having serious chest problems because my heart rate was so incredibly high due to anxiety. I felt like I was dying probably 5 or 6 different times before when I had anxiety. And some of these anxiety attacks lasted as short as 5 minutes. There was one that lasted over 3 hours. I kid you not. It was, and this is the cool thing, it was the last one I ever had about a year ago. And it was the last night I ever, I'll just say it, the last night I ever smoked pot was, which is about a year ago, was the last anxiety attack I ever had. Now, I still have anxiety. I'm fully sober. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything. But I still, anxiety lives with you. It's not, anxiety has always been there within me. Only now am I really recognizing it, and in a sense, it's become more of a prevalent force in my life over the past few years. Now, I've learned to manage it with a lot of cool coping strategies as far as healthy eating, learning about breathe work, and calming yourself down, meditation, passions such as art or juggling, all good and well. But it stands that anxiety is still there. It doesn't have to be a life sentence, but it's very important, I think, to care enough about yourself to want to take control of your anxiety and not be pushed around. I mean, growing up, I didn't really have the words to explain what I was going through as far as anxiety as well as depression and just feeling out of place, and the physical symptoms were very much, in play during the early years, as far as, I'd have to go to the nurse and I'd complain of stomach aches and all sort of physical ailments, and most of this was probably due to anxiety. I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to be at school. I wanted to be at home by myself. And at 23 years old, not much has really changed, On any given day, I would much rather probably be at home reading or listening to music or painting or juggling or whatever than going out with friends or seeing friends that I honestly do love, because I have some wonderful friends. This just kind of shows you the crippling effect of anxiety, and also the mental effect and the mental attitude that you create within yourself when you have anxiety, and the reinforcement that, oh, it's okay to stay inside. It's okay to not be active or to not, want to reach out and have new experiences. anxiety has you as a pawn in its twisted, wicked game. When suddenly, you decide that, no, I don't want to be a part of anything. I want to be, completely alone and sheltered and, live in a hole. And, you're glad and willing to do so because, the path of least resistance, right? No, wrong, because it's, why should you limit yourself to cater to anxiety? And I'm only speaking about this because this has happened to me time and time again. It still does. It still happens to me. I'm not mad at myself, but I want to challenge myself to get better and to deal with this and to manage it and to, just be willing, to change and actually put in the work. So many people, it's like, so many people have told me this, you just put in the work, and I didn't really understand. If you sit around and you mope, that's not the way to get through it. But on the other hand, I get it. It's debilitating, and it's terribly understated in this society, the severity of anxiety, and it's not fun, but there's hope. There's hope for you if you're dealing with anxiety. I think there's hope for anybody, Everybody has a different path. Everybody has a different form of recovery, just like we recover from, injury or drug addiction or disease. There's a recovery process from anxiety, but, the anxiety is still there. It's all about how we manage it moving forward. And it doesn't have to define you. I said this before in my interview video with Trey, but anxiety absolutely does not have to define you. And there is hope for you. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And guys, if you ever want to speak about anxiety, feel free to comment, message me, do whatever, because I would love to collaborate and talk about it. Sorry for the jumbled video, guys. I just wanted to speak a little bit about anxiety and sort of what I've been dealing with, because I've been having a lot of anxiety recently, and I wanted to speak on something candidly, the right now, what I'm feeling, so I hope this video will help someone and it wasn't too confusing. But lastly, like I said, if you're dealing with anxiety, there's hope for you, and there's ways to get through this, and it doesn't have to be, a life sentence, and it doesn't have to be something that completely ruins your life like it's ruined mine time and time again. But I'm here and I'm happy and I'm breathing and I'm doing Soul Speak Visions, in an effort to raise awareness about anxiety and not have anxiety minimized to something that it's not, while not giving it the credit that it's something that could uproot, our spiritual nature and our strength, as human beings, as evolutionary, progressive, proactive human beings realizing their full potential. Anxiety's got nothing on us, and we will always be victorious in the battle with anxiety, my friends. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to Soul Speak Visions.